What if I told you that the most powerful empire in human history was nearly brought to its knees by a piece of paper? Not a treaty or a declaration, but a cartridge. A small, greased, paper cartridge no longer than your finger. What happened next was so world-altering that it changed the British Empire forever. At its peak, Britain controlled 1/4 of the earth. The jewel in that crown was India. But how does a small island nation control a subcontinent thousands of miles away? The answer is the sepoys. For every one British soldier, there were 5 Indian ones. The empire was held together by the people it governed. But by the 1850s, something was rotting. Kingdoms were being annexed and religious customs dismissed. The sepoys were loyal, but not blindly obedient. January 1857. The company rolls out a new weapon, the pattern 1853 Enfield rifle. To load it, you had to bite off the cartridge tip. Then a rumor began. The cartridges, it said, were greased with cow and pig fat. For Hindus and Muslims, this was a profound desecration. To put cow fat to your lips was a sacrifice of the sacred. To touch pork was a violation of faith. The atmosphere became explosive. On March 29, 1857, one man decided he had had enough. His name was Mangal Pandey, a sepoy of deep conviction. Pandey called for a rise against the officers. He was eventually arrested and hanged, but his story spread to every village in India. May 1857, Meerut. 85 soldiers refused the cartridges. Their punishment was designed to crush them. Public humiliation and 10 years of hard labor. Iron shackles were fitted around their ankles as thousands watched. In the faces of those soldiers, something changed forever. On May 10th, the sepoys broke open the prison. They took up their weapons and rode through the night for Delhi. They reached the Red Fort at dawn. They were going to wake the last Mughal Emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar II. Zafar was 82, a poet and calligrapher. He was a figurehead who suddenly became the symbol of a massive rebellion. The rebellion spread with terrifying speed. Lucknow, Kanpur, and Jhansi fell as British authority collapsed across the plains. At Lucknow, the British residency was besieged. Sir Henry Lawrence was killed, leaving behind a legacy of desperate duty. But nothing generated more horror than Kanpur. A surrendered garrison was massacred at the Sadakora Ghat, turning the Ganges into a site of tragedy. Britain responded not with strategy, but with fury. Fresh regiments poured into India, carrying out collective punishments on a devastating scale. In one infamous practice, prisoners were tied to cannons and executed. It was a deliberate choice to destroy both body and spirit. September 1857. After brutal urban combat, Delhi fell. The poet Emperor Zafar was arrested and his sons were shot. He was exiled to Rangoon, thousands of miles from home. He died in 1862, an emperor without a yard of earth to be buried in. But the rebellion gave the world Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi. She refused to step aside when her kingdom was annexed. She died in battle at only 22. Even her enemies called her the most dangerous of all the rebel leaders. By 1858, the East India Company was dissolved. India passed directly to the British crown, and Queen Victoria became empress. The British told the world order was restored, but the illusion of invincibility had been broken. 1857 proved resistance was possible. Those stories lived on in poetry and song, finding their way to a new generation of leaders who would seek independence. 90 years later, in 1947, India stood free. A direct line runs from the parade ground at Meerut to that midnight moment. History is not made by the people who survive. Sometimes it is made most powerfully by the ones who don't. Thank you for watching.